Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is SprinkleBeard, and we are going to be talking about free-to-play, or new players specifically, Clan Boss Dragons. I have noticed in the community, a lot of us tend to focus at the end game and the late game, but for brand new players who are like, hey, I am playing, I'm having fun, I got up to Dragon, and I just don't feel like I am doing great. We are going to specifically talk about new player and free-to-play focus on Dragon. So, we are going to hop into an easy Dragon, and the big thing here is we have 2 attempts at Dragon. As long as we don't complete one, we actually have nothing to worry about. We can try over and over again. The 2 things that constitute as a completion of Dragon. So number 1, we last the full 5-minute duration. So if Dragon doesn't kill off our party, that would be one way for us to complete Dragon. The second way is if our entire party gets wiped anytime after 1 minute. There is a mechanic in the fight that we have to be aware of. However, as long as we do not get a full party wipe, the level will not end. We can retry it as many times as we need to. We can try it, see how our damage is, and if we don't like it, we can actually just quit out of it, and we maintain our stone. However, since you only get 2 attempts a day, this is a way for you to be careful with that resource. Understand, it's not the be-all, end-all. If you use up a stone by accident, do not stress it. You get 2 attempts a day. If you really care to, you could buy more with diamonds. I don't really encourage that, but you could. There's also certain reasons where you might want or need to if you're trying to complete a quest or something. Alright, so what is the point of Dragon? Dragon is a clan boss. So that means that not only are we hitting the dragons with our teams, but people that we are friends with. The whole purpose of your guild is to work together to down the dragon of the guild. In this specific fight, single target damage is going to be your best friend. We typically don't care about AoE, or AoE is actually kind of a bad stat for us, if you will, or a bad kit. Here, it's nice to start off a little bit slower because you want to put out as many of your champions as possible. As we can see, we have this crescent shape for our platform champions, and then we have 6 tiles here on the ground floor to fight the dragon head on. The dragon has a series of attacks. He has a claw swipe that he will do that will only hit your ground target units. Understand, your ground target units usually tend to have more HP and more defense, so they can tank this a little bit better. However, they absolutely need a healer. It is a dragon slapping around little ants that are, poking him with sticks. You're gonna need a healer for that. Typically in Clan Boss as well, defenders are not your best friend. Understand, though, that if you have an epic or a legendary that you have well geared up, or that is your highest level, typically using your higher level characters are going to give you better benefits. Or the more geared your champion is, the better their usage is. Sometimes, too, the synergy. So here, my tank has a synergy with Wrath, who has it's an attack speed buff. So if I summon out Wrath, and then if I summon out this other guy after the fact, Wrath will get the buff. They'll both get a buff to attack speed. But specifically, I want Wrath to have the attack speed. So just summoning them out will give him that buff. And I will demonstrate that in a moment. It is important for us to have healers. So in this party specifically, I only have 1 healer currently. That is all I need because of my gearing and my placement. Understand, you might want to have 2, maybe even 3, depending on your attempt or what summon crystals you've cracked open. AoE champions. So this fish boy here, his name is Selkie. They're typically... Oh, I actually have 2 healers. I'm an idiot. Selkie here is a AoE champion. However, his specific AoE kind of operates in a way that it says that it shouldn't. It's supposed to hit 1 target, bounce to another target, and the second target takes extra damage. Selkie right now, it just hits multiple times instead. It's fantastic. And his ultimate gives everybody in his range an attack speed boost. This means that sometimes putting him near a whole bunch of my other damage dealers can cause everybody to attack a whole lot faster. Very, very useful. Here I have Idril and Brienne. Idril is all single target focused, making her great for this. Brienne is meant to be AoE focused. She has this concept where her arrows branch off and hit other targets. She is not great in Dragon. However, understand though that she is an epic. Because she's an epic, her base stats, and because she's 4-star, it's probably going to be a lot better than a lot of the rare champions. Specifically, a lot of our rare mages, unless we have them geared up and they have our best gear on them, we probably don't actually want to bring in our mages, like those AoE mages that we reviewed in a different video. If you're interested in that, let me know. Or if you want a review champion by champion of who would be good in here, let me know. So, we were talking about dragon attacks. So he has this claw attack that will swipe. He has a dragon roar, which from what I can tell is not actual direct damage. It is a percentage damage ability. So that means every time he roars, it does a percentage of your character's max HP to them, no matter what. Meaning that you will need a healer because he'll soften you up with the roars, and then between either his claw attack or he will breathe fire. He goes from one side to the other, and he just hits every single tire with fire damage. So you want to make sure that you have healers to heal back up your party. Lastly, he has a big charge up breath attack. So he'll do this giant inhale, and he'll give himself a shield to protect himself. If you were able to break this shield, hi Sunday. If you're able to break this shield, you will put him into a stun state. And during that stun state, it's a whole bunch of free damage. Also, by breaking the shield has a health meter of itself. For every 10,000 damage we do to him, we get 1 dragon's blood. And we will cover why we want that in the end. But just to show off the attacks, I'm going to put out a couple of champions here. And again, we can just restart as many times as we need. So this is not an earnest attempt in any sense of the word. So here's his Dragon Claw. I saw him hit that target. I think maybe because this is easy. It doesn't hit all of my... Okay, no, it did hit all my fighters. I just wasn't paying attention. Over here, we get a camera view change. So if you're trying to really maximize where you're placing champions, and we don't care about the viewpoint of this is a way for you to look and see, okay, this is exactly where my champions are. These 3 squares, I'm very sad to say, you just can't use. There was the breath attack. I wanted to show it off, but we missed it. We'll just go on to the next one to show it. But there was his down state. And then after his down state, or after any breath attack, he will promote himself. Promoting means that he's going to increase the amount of damage he's doing and kind of the attack speed that he does. So here we have that claw. Before it was doing 160, now it's doing 212. And then here should be his breath attack. So here's charging in, but we break that shield, and then there we see the gem goes up, and it gave us 10, which isn't a whole lot. Let's say, though, I wasn't happy with this attempt, right? I'm at 186, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to be enough for what I'm trying to do. We can either easily restart. Here we can look at the monster manual and see his HP. He has equal defense and magic resist, so it kind of doesn't matter what champions you have. Here we can look at a list of the monster's skills. One thing I didn't mention is Meteorite Impact. He does get that, but not at the easy and normal levels. I believe he starts doing that at hard level. So as the dragon upgrade, like as you go down to more difficult dragons, he will start adding in more attacks that do different things. But here you can see, we never used up a resource because we didn't finish a challenge. Even if we hit complete here, it does not matter. If I need to re-gear my heroes, let's say I had a healer, but I unequipped them because I was doing something in the campaign, or I was testing out Autumn, a different healer, blah, blah, blah. You could switch over. Now, the reason that we want that dragon's blood, right, based upon the damage we do to him. Ultimately, the dragon is kind of immortal. The more dragon's blood that gets taken from him, we eventually get down to this seriously injured. When he gets down to 0, whoever attacked that specific dragon for a certain amount of blood over here on the right, they will get a chest. If the dragon gets down to 0% specifically, that reward is then doubled. So we're going to start off on the easy dragon. And here you can see that we need to just get 10 dragon's blood from him. I want to encourage you that when you first start off, it is very easy to get at least 10 blood from him. So even if you don't know what you're doing, or you're just like, I didn't know what to do in the fight, and I accidentally, struck him with one of my stones, don't stress it. Getting that first 10 blood is not very difficult. Getting the first 200 can feel a little bit difficult. Once you level up your champions, it's not that bad. And if you really want to go overkill, go and promote your champions once you get the chance, and you will feel like you are a god fighting this dragon. It feels great. So, the chest rewards. If we click here on this reward, or we can click on the chest itself to see the reward system. So if we were to do 10 blood crystals of damage to him, right, we have a chance to get 2 of these options from the chest. I think it will tell us if I click on the chest itself. Yeah. Confront the guild boss to secure these chests. Each chest holds 2 random items of the following. I have never gotten jinxed to be like, oh, I got gold twice. It is, if you get gold, that gets out of the pot, and then you're, randomized to one of the other things. Everything in this game does have an advantage or has a reason why you might want it. So one of the chances you have is for some of the insignias. Insignias are used for promotions. So even if you're not doing the the promotion raids, you don't necessarily have to. As long as you're attacking dragon, you will eventually stack up enough insignias, or crests, as I will call them, that you'll be able to promote your champions. You might get more stamina, which lets you play the game for more. Gold and experience. Gold's used for everything in this game. Experience, obviously, level up your champions. Blue crystals. This will let you. This will help aid you in leveling up your skills. 3-star psychic power. This is for ranking up your heroes. So when your heroes that are 3-star get up to their max level. So the game, you start off with characters like Voltus, Rex, Maureen. Let's say you use them, or let's say you've been dumping all your experience into them, and they hit level 30, you will see that it says max level. However, they can continue on. However, a 3-star champion will need 3 psychic powers, or you will hear the community call this food very often. So 3 stars needs 3 food. You can use psychic power, or you could feed it other 3-star champions. You can rank up champions like 1-stars. You could feed a 1-star to a 1-star to make it a 2-star, and then you can feed 2 2-stars to a 2-star champion to make him into a 3-star. So you can make food. Understand, though, that you either need the experience or the characters to do that. It is not very difficult. It's very easy to do. But this is a big shortcut. It is an item, and it also doesn't take up space in that inventory. So what's great is you can, like in this case I own 4, you can own 400 of these, and it won't affect anything. It won't take up any space. Senior insignias, these are the 2nd stage insignias. These are very worthwhile. So again, if you're not doing the promotion raids, understand by attacking guild boss, you have a chance that you'll get the materials anyways. And then lastly are diamonds. Diamonds are this all-encompassing rare resource in the game that you get to kind of spend on anything and everything. So diamonds are always good, and that's why their background is also this yellow to symbolize, legendary, that it's the best item you can get. As we collect more dragon's blood, so you get 2 attempts. So let's say when you're starting off, you're probably going to be hitting the easy dragon twice. Once you get up to the point where, let's say you use 1 keystone, it's called a crusade, 1 crusade, and you're able to do this 200 points of blood damage to him, right? So here we can see we can get more summoning crystals now. Our EXP and our gold drops and our diamonds are more. We now get 4-star psychic power, or 4-star food as I'm going to be calling it. We have a chance to gain more energy from here. Once you're getting these extra resources, it obviously makes sense that you want to move on to the next difficulty. So the ultimate goal is for you to use 1 crusade to get the maximum chest of your difficulty. Once you have done that, you should go up to the next difficulty. So here I hit normal yesterday, so we're going to claim the rewards. So I was able to hit it for the full amount of damage. So the 2 rewards I got a blue crystal. This lets me level up the skill of one of my rare champions, any of the champions that have a blue background, and I got energy. So 2 good things. However, my guild that I'm part of, so I just joined a new guild. As you can see, we're not focused on the normal dragon. We're focused on hard through Nightmare 2. So in my case, I am getting less rewards for this. Therefore, as I start progressing through the game, I do want to be trying to hit more close to hard dragon, and I might even use both my crusades on hitting the hard dragon, just because there's 2 rewards that I would get from it. So let's say I hit the dragon once and I get 75. That means I will definitely get this chest on hard. This is the most basic chest on hard. But if I hit it twice, 75 and 75 would be 150. That means I would go upgrade to this silver chest, reward 2. And I would have a higher chance of getting these drops. However, by hitting this dragon twice and not getting up to that 3rd reward or higher, I am kind of missing out on certain rewards. However, since we're not downing normal dragon anyways, I'm not really missing that much. Understand, though, that the top reward from normal here, if I click on this chest, it has like 100 diamonds in it. It can have gold insignias in it. It's got some, 3 purple things. And then if I go and look at hard and I look at its secondary reward, it actually has slightly less benefits. However, these benefits greatly outweigh all the other benefits from the first one, except for that top chest. The top chest is top chest for a reason. Here I can see if I get the epic chest, the reward tier 3, this is where it gets comparable to that chest on the previous difficulty, but now I have another rare resource, legendary extracts, added in here. There's also extra energy, there's summoning crystals, so you do want to try to challenge the highest dragon that you can, but make sure that you are at least hitting one of these milestones. These milestones are also really good checks for you. So if you only hit this dragon for 75, you know you're not going to hit that next 240 or 420. So you might say, okay, I'll hit the hard dragon once, and I'll go back to normal, because normal I should be able to hit for this top reward. I'll at least get this top reward, and then as I'm getting these top rewards, you might take these resources, upgrade your champions, and it will get you to that point that in hard you can hit harder. So, on top of hitting the dragon, what champions are even good at dragon? This is an account we've been playing for 3 weeks. We did have a weekend where we had double legendaries going on. So if you pull a legendary champion, you were guaranteed to pull a second legendary champion. So I got 2 dwarves that weekend, and then by some freak luck, we got Valkyra, who's a very good champion in this game. We're not going to be talking about legendaries. We're not even going to be talking about epic champions. You might get some of these champions. A perfect example is an assault. Literally looks like he's super designed for dragon. His whole kit is based around killing one target off. But as you can see, he has a 3.1 on Guild Boss. Don't stress that as a new player. Play with the characters that you want to. And if he's the epic you have, bring your epics to the fight. They're probably going to put in more work. And if they're not putting in enough work, do things like promote them. And if you've already promoted them, give them gear and then use them. But like this base 974 attack, it kind of doesn't matter what gear you give him. You could give him crit rate and defense. And the defense will help him live longer, and the crit rate will help him crit from time to time. Understand that any gear will be better than no gear, even if it's not necessarily the right gear. We are going to be talking about certain rare champions. A good example of whom not to bring is Drogo. I do understand that if he has some of your best equipment on because you love him, he was the first champion that you fell in love with, so you gave your best gear to him, yes, you should bring him to Dragon. If he has your best gear, he's probably going to put in the most work, even over a champion like Nasalt, who is designed for killing Dragon, because if Nasalt doesn't have gear on him, and Drogo has good gear on him, Drogo's going to put in more work. With that being said, are there certain champions that might be better for killing Dragon? Absolutely. So again, single target champions are going to be a lot better. Voltus is a champion that everybody starts off with, and then there's certain ways that you can get him to look different, but he'll probably have some of your best gear on him. Because of that, yes, you should be bringing him to Dragon. However, once you get to that point where you're getting a whole bunch of champions, you might be able to change your mind on this and say, okay, I don't need Voltus anymore. I'm going... No barking at me, man. I'm going to bring Cuke instead. Cuke specifically has poison, and in this game, poison is a very, very rare skill. And specifically, come here. Thank you, Sunday. Come here. Thank you, little girl. This is my dog, Sunday, for anybody who doesn't know. Cuke here has poison, which deals damage based upon max HP. So the stronger Dragon is, the more HP Dragon has, the more damage Cuke is going to deal to him. Now, this does say that it is a chance, right? A 30% chance to poison. However, Cuke's ultimate is a guaranteed poison. It is, no matter what, he will poison the target, and I have not found a target in this game that is immune to poison. So, with that being said, he might be worth investing into. And as you saw, I got that blue crystal earlier. So here we might go into random upgrades. We'll spend that crystal, and we needed dust as well. But we could upgrade Cuke to help encourage that ultimate to happen more frequently. Fortunately, we've got the trap. That is how leveling up skills works in this game, though. I will level that skill up later. Characters like Marina as well are extremely good. She has a defense reduction in her kit, which makes her damage, the damage of her and anybody else not dealing magic damage. So any type of physical damage, or if it doesn't say physical, the normal damage is also affected by this.
Don't you dare call me Captain Hook.
This will encourage her to deal more damage. As well, she has a guaranteed crit in her kit. So every 4 attacks, or I guess in this time it says three shots because I got the reduction on it, makes her a very, very good choice for helping you slay the dragon.
Bring it on!
Characters like Barut are also perfectly fine. Again, if he has your gear on him, he's absolutely worth using.
Hear me and rejoice.
Characters like Sorzus, they're interesting. So he is designed around doing damage to one target. However, he is designed to do more damage to characters with low HP. The dragon has infinite HP. So unfortunately, I don't really know how this interaction works. If it goes by that percentage on the main screen, you might be able to use executioners. I would not depend on it. However, he does do single target damage, and therefore he could be a mage that is worth you upgrading to use on dragon for that reason.
Crew, my rules.
Characters that regenerate cost, like Rutu and Narvi, might seem like good options. However, in Dragon, you actually start off with 150 cost, and then it does start to regenerate once you start your, like it starts to build up once you start your fight with Dragon. So with that being said, I highly doubt you would need that cost unless you're trying to play with all high cost characters. So things like Drogo and Nero, who are already AoE focused, so I wouldn't encourage bringing them to Dragon in the first place. But if you wanted to focus on the highest cost champions, you could do that. But yes, you would need characters like Rutu and Narvi to help offset that cost. Or if your champions are just constantly dying, right? You're sending them all out 1 at a time or 2 at a time. Then yes, you might want that cost regeneration to make more efficient use of your cost. What epics should you use? So there are some other rares that I should have mentioned. So there is one Piercer named Amelie, and she deals defense down on all of her basic attacks. I absolutely should have mentioned her. And then there's another frost archer named Alucas, who is a little frozen goblin. He also is a very good damage dealer. He's a very chatty character, though, so beware of that. What epics should you use? The truth of the matter is, depends on who you have available to you. Every single champion in this game has their strengths and weaknesses, so it might make sense for you to bring some of them, but not necessarily others. So Selkie, or Selkath, I should say, his kit is actually designed for hitting multiple targets. However, he actually does fine hitting a single target, and his ultimate increases the attack speed of everybody in his range, like his attack range, which makes him actually very valuable in Dragon. Doesn't make him amazing in Dragon, it makes him valuable or very usable. So understand, use the champions that you have available to you. You will notice that the pros and like the high veteran players, they do use Wrath. Everybody does get Wrath after their 2-week mark. You get him as a day 14 reward. His kit is extremely overloaded. So what do I mean by kit? By kit, I mean his skills and any passives that he might gain from being promoted. So here, it says reach promotion grade 5 to enhance it. Wrath's crit rate increases by plus 15%. Wrath's stats are ridiculous. So you're going to see everybody using him. He is best specifically to use with a healer. Have 1 to 2 healers constantly healing him so that you can just focus on pure damage with him. And the true strength of him comes from awakening him. And we're going to glance over the awakening on rares specifically because we're talking about new players and free-to-play players. It's going to be harder for you to have access to these materials. However, the more you play the game, you will get access to these materials no matter what. So what is Awakening? Awakening is a mechanic in this game, in the right-hand side here, where if we have multiple copies of the same hero, we can feed a clone off to the main one. So here I'm going to use Marine. We can go to Awaken, and if we have this little red dot here, it means that I can awaken this champion. Now, you usually want to think before you do this. Because this is a rare, it does not matter. It matters. It will help her out. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to lose any major resources. So here, Awakening Materials. If I click here, as you can see, if I have a copy of Marine, I can use a Marine to awaken. And if I awaken this specific one, I will gain 200 HP on my main Marine. If I click down the path here, I get to see what other benefits she gets. Here she gets an extra 50 attack. So right now, I don't think I even have gear on her. I do not. And I don't have a blue weapon to show this off with either. Oh, I do have a blue weapon. So a blue weapon, not upgraded, is 160 damage. So with that being said, the extra 50 damage would be 25% of a weapon. That is some free stats that she would gain if I kept getting multiple copies of her. Most awakenings, the further down we go, gives off more benefits. So here we get 300 HP. Good for surviving dragon or surviving damage, but not super meaningful by any means. And then here we would have 60 attack. And then Awakening 5 usually is pretty game-changing for any champion. In this case, for all the rares, it's usually just the same buff depending on what they are. So for our damage dealers, it's 5% crit rate. For our healers, it's extra healing. And for defenders, it is extra damage reduction of some sort. However, if we compare this to epics and understand every epic is different, I'm going to be showing off Wrath specifically. I want to warn you guys that this will kind of influence your decision-making a little bit. I want to put this out there that Wrath, although he is an epic and you get him for free, which means he should not be ridiculously powerful, he is a legendary wrapped in purple. He is absolutely phenomenal. His stats are way too high for the fact that he is an epic. And then between promoting him and awakening him, you turn him from an epic into a legendary. Not, he won't get the gold border or the gold background. Understand, though, he will perform as well as any legendary. So that is why so many people including myself and including any veteran player, you will probably see Wrath in their team, or they will tell you just use Wrath. So Wrath's Awakening, he has a guaranteed crit hit on Soul Basher. So Soul Basher, if we're not sure what that is, we would go to his skills and look at it. Soul Basher is his passive. So the next attack deals 100% additional damage for every 4 attacks. That's because I've already increased his skills. Basically starts off at base 60%. And this triggers every 4 seconds. So that's what this little indicator here is. So this is Soul Basher. Now not only does his attack deal additional damage, but it's a guaranteed crit. Next Awakening, his crit damage is increased by 15%. Well, we absolutely love that. So if we have an Awakening Stone, we take that Awakening Stone and use it to unlock that second Awakening. Ta-da! So now he gets this little emblem. So he was 1 awakened. I don't know what the community calls it yet, but you know, 5, like if you see like 1A, 2A, stuff like that, you know, 2 awakenings, so on and so forth, 5 awakenings. But that's what, if you're ever in the arena, this will actually matter a little bit more. You might be evaluating how strong your opponent is. So if you see a 5-star awakening, or a 5 symbol here, you might want to be wary about that. So that gives him extra crit damage. Since he's guaranteed a crit in his kit, that is a very fantastic skill attribute to have. Inflicts burning on targets that take AoE damage from Heavy Blow. So Heavy Blow is his ultimate. So when he's in his ultimate, every time he attacks, he'll inflict burning. Well, what's burning? Deals 20% magic damage per second. Burning effects from different sources can coexist. So if you have a Wrath that causes burning, and then some type of Pyromancer, so not Nero or Soliel, because they don't have burning in their kit, even though they're hurling fire everywhere. But let's say you have a Scorch or a Zillatu, I believe they cause burning effects. It is 20% magic damage. This is based off of their attack stat. So in this case, Wrath's attack stat, he'll do 20 magic damage per second. It is a very, very noticeable effect. It is not as strong as Poison. It is a very close second. It is absolutely Poison's twin younger brother that came out of the womb, you know, 5 minutes later. His next awakening is he gets armor penetration, 5%. That is ridiculous. It's very, very good. There are other epics that will get something similar to like that and the crit damage. However, it is really at level 5 where Wrath is going to shine the most. He gets Life Leech while in his ultimate state. When Heavy Blow is triggered, the hero restores HP equal to 30% of the total damage dealt. This means every time he deals damage during his ultimate, he will heal back up for 30% of the total damage. Wrath, you kind of build him like a glass cannon. He does enormous amounts of damage. He will siphon all that life back in, and you will notice that he's near impossible to kill. This matters the most in Arena. If you are playing the Arena and your Wrath is not fully awakened, and you see your opponent has a 5-star awakened Wrath, understand it is going to be much harder to win that fight. It's not going to be impossible. Understand, though, it'll be a lot more difficult. I also want to stress again, Wrath is absolutely a legendary status, but he just requires purple materials. There are other champions that when you read through their awakenings, and I'm not going to read through every single one of them, but if you read through some of their kit, you're going to be like, okay, that's good. Okay, that's useful. But that's not Wrath level of useful. I would say do not compare your other epics to Wrath. Wrath is 100% a legendary who just looks like an epic and takes the resources of an epic. But understand that all these numbers are very meaningful. All these numbers do add up, and all of them will make a big difference to your champion. Typically, most people will fully awaken a champion as they get copies of it. So here I have the example of Selkath. if I kept getting him from pools, or let's say there was a weekend event going on that as I summon, I would get a whole bunch more Selkath, I could take those extra copies of him. So like with Angel, I got an extra copy of her. Ein, as we were pulling, we got an extra copy of him. Or actually, no, we used a stone to awaken him. The point, though, is if you get extra copies of a character, what's great is not only can you awaken them. So if we had a second copy of Ein, I don't want to do it with Marine. I have plans for those other Marines. But if we had a second copy of Ein, we could awaken him, so we could give him an extra 5% crit rate. But even better, because we used him as a resource, a second copy of him, the game not only awakens this Ein, but it will give us a, in this case, he's a 4-star champion, gives us a 4-star food. So it's not like we even lose him as a resource for any reason. The only other reason that you would maybe want to level up Ein before feeding the second one to the first one, first off, I wouldn't level them up like past 30. Usually like the first 20 levels is a good place. Then the last, the next 10 is a maybe. There's certain events that go on during the weekend. And right now there's the Corridor of Glory. So we can get extra materials. We can get any of these materials here by leveling up champions. So if we know that we are going to feed something off or fuse something together, we might want to fuse them, or we might want to level them up to a certain point to get points based upon it. So in this case, I'm using Ein as an example. He's a 4-star champion. We might take him from level 1, and the first 20 levels, you can see we get 1 point each time we level him up. Getting up to 30 is pretty easy. So we could get 20 points for this first 20 levels, and then we get an additional 20 points for the next 10 levels. And then at that point, we just feed them off and, not really care. The further you get into this game, so like on my main account, I have so many experience potions. I actually already completed this event like 6 hours into when the event was released. And it's only been open for 8 hours. So eventually all your accounts will get to that point as well. Guys, I hope this was helpful for New Dragon specifically. I did want to show off some of those champions real quick. So fighters, you could use characters like Barut. You could use characters like Skulf and his brother Orgel. They do some decent damage. They're not necessarily the first ones I would recommend. There is a gimmick with Decimus that when you know that the dragon is about to do his giant big breath attack, he puts up a shield. If you're not able to break through that shield in time, what you would do is mentally time it out. You would watch the timer, find out when your dragon breathes that, and what you would do is before he gets to that point where he starts doing his big deep inhale, you would dismiss party members. You would summon out Decimus. Now, there is a balancing act. You can't have no party members, otherwise dragon wins. And you don't want to summon Decimus too early, because if he gets hit too early, he'll die too early. But if you promote Decimus, he does get this effect where he's unkillable for 6 seconds. He will continue to fight for 6 seconds. That means he can absolutely 100% survive the giant dragon breath attack pouring down, because it lasts for like I think 3 seconds. And then since he survived that, you could then start resummoning out certain champions after the big breath attack. And this lets you get around that shield if your party's not strong enough to destroy that shield. I will say though, this is super gimmicky. It was recently pointed out in a video. I think Mabuckets was the first person to show it off. I do like it. I don't love it though. In all honesty, I would encourage you that if you're not able to break that shield, focus on what you need to do to break that shield. Rank up your characters, level up your characters, promote your characters, then focus on their gear, focus on their skills, and focus on awakening them. That order that I just named will be your almighty of, okay, I wasn't able to complete content, why not? It's either your champion selection, or then you go down that list. My character was not high enough rank. My character was not high enough level. I didn't have them promoted to get some of their extra abilities. I didn't gear them up properly, so on and so forth. Out of the tanks, I don't really encourage any of the tanks. Gorza here, she does have a defensive down in her kit. Again, there's other champions that also have defense reductions in their kit. However, if it's your first week or two, I'm sorry, if it's your first week, Gorza is very usable for that reason. After your first week, you get Ein, and then sometime in your first week or two, I forget what exactly the trigger was, I know you get an Awakening Stone. Once you get that stone, you can awaken Ein, and it turns his basic attack into defense reduction. So, to talk about basic attacks being a defense reduction, Amelie, or Amal, however you want to pronounce her name, she does have a defense reduction on her basic attack that lasts for 1.5 seconds, and then as you skill it up, it lasts longer. Understand that she can help out your whole party by reducing the damage. Not mages, but still very helpful. Poison is another fantastic way to go. So some of the marksmen, like Cuke, is the kind of the best rare in the game for that reason, because he's a poisoner. Screef also has a chance to poison when throwing out his knives, and his ultimate as well is a guaranteed poison. I don't necessarily encourage Screef too much. Cuke is also that kind of questionable that you don't want to sink in too many resources because he's a rare, and a lot of the rares, they'll get you past your easy and maybe normal dragon. After normal dragon, it kind of doesn't matter how many resources you sink into Cuke, he's going to start falling off. Also, by that time, you should start noticing you are getting epics or legendaries on your account. It is very difficult not to. And if you're ever not sure when you should be getting one, if we go to this summon crystal here at the bottom, and then in the right hand side, we have these rewards that you get for summoning. If we left click on that, at 60, I was told that you were guaranteed at 60, you are guaranteed to get a legendary champion. After that, it is just random. There is a chance that you could get one before 60. There's a chance that you could get one at 60 and then at 61. I don't know. But at 60 specifically is when we got our first legendary. And ideally, I would encourage you guys, if it's your first week, open your shards, just have fun with the game. Just give yourself more resources to play with, experimenting around with champions to see who you like. However, after your first week, maybe after your first 2 weeks, I would encourage you on weekends, every single weekend, there is a reason for you to break open your shards. This weekend has characters like Indril, who's a very good single target killer, Vortex, who's one of the best healers in the game, and Scorch, who is a very good AoE fighter. Now, I am personally not pulling this weekend. However, there are reasons that you might be like, cool, I would be more inclined to want one of these champions. These are two brand new champions, Hex and Lazir. However, your chances of getting these champions are not really increased. It's if you were to pull and it was going to be a legendary, your chances then of that legendary champion being one of these two is increased by 10%. But yes, every weekend there is a reason to pull shards. That's when I would encourage you save your shards up for. And it also gives you something to look forward to. Oh man, I can't wait for the weekend. I have the day off from work. I'm going to pull a whole bunch of shards. Or, okay, I'm going to watch a movie and I'm going to pull a whole bunch of shards during it. Pulling shards can be a lot of fun. And then depending on who you pull, you never know who you're going to get. Something I did, and I don't like to do anything off stream. I try to do the bare minimum. I pulled a Navras, however we want to pronounce his name. And I absolutely love this dude. He's creepy. He's an awesome little mage. I kind of want to mess around with him. We might mess around with him on this account. Guys, that is all the information I have for Dragon for brand new players, for your free-to-play concepts of what you can focus on to give yourself an easier time. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, leave them down below. And of course, until that next time, ta-ta.